beyond all these dimensions, we are the dimension of the spiritual being. And Krishna gives very systematic, step-by-step knowledge and realization how to come to this understanding that what we are. So we will begin the 9th chapter today. Very, very important chapter. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna presents in 18th chapter. And the first 6 chapter, Krishna speaks about performing action. And the perfection of action is to perform devotional service. And in this middle 6 chapters, from 9 till 12, Krishna is speaking pure devotional service. So the 9th chapter and the 10th chapter is the center of the center. The middle 6 chapters are the center of Bhagavad Gita. And among the middle 6 chapters, the 9th chapter and the 10th chapter is the centermost chapters of Bhagavad Gita. So these are the essence of Bhagavad Gita. And this chapter is entitled, Srila Prabhupada entitled this chapter as Most Confidential Knowledge. So let us commence by our invocation prayers that Krishna bestows his mercy and intelligence upon us to understand this transcendental knowledge. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavansya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Yatra Gita Vicharasya Pathanam Pathanam Tatha Modate Tatra Shri Krishna Bhagavan Radhaye Saha. So in the Gita Mahatmya, this verse comes that wherever there is discussion, Gita Vicharasya. Vichar means that there is some deliberation, some discussion. And how? Pathanam Pathanam Tatha. By the means of study and receiving this knowledge. So at that place, Modate Tat Shri Krishna. Shri Krishna, the Supreme Lord, Krishna appears there in a very jubilant state. Modate means when he is very pleased. And he is not alone. Krishna does not come alone. Shri Radha Esa. Along with Krishna, there is Srimati Radharani. And the most pleasurable mood when they see that the living entities are discussing Bhagavad Gita. So let us please Sri Radha and Krishna and feel the presence of Sri Radha and Krishna through the verses of Bhagavad Gita. You can see the presentation. Purushottam, it is visible. The screen is visible.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So in the last session, we discussed the 8th chapter. 8th chapter will begin with Arjuna's 8 questions. Arjuna inquired 8 questions. And the most important question was how to remember the Supreme Lord at the time of death, at the time of quitting his body. So Krishna answered the first 7 questions till verse 4, third and fourth. And remembering Krishna at the end of life, Krishna answered specifically in 5 to 9. And then Krishna spoke about Yoga Mishra Bhakti, especially the Shad Chakra Bhakti, the Shad Chakra Yoga. How to be able to concentrate our attention in the midst of both our eyebrows. And in contrast to this practice of Shat Chakra Yoga, Krishna spoke about the superiority of devotional service, which is Bhakti Yoga. And what kind of Bhakti? Unalloyed Bhakti, pure Bhakti, unadulterated, Ananya Bhakti Yoga. And then we also compared, Krishna compared the existence of the material world with the spiritual world. The material world, there is always devastation and destruction. But the spiritual world, it is eternally the same. There is no impact. There is never any dissolution or destruction. And then finally, in the last section, Krishna spoke about the supremacy of devotion and how the supreme is attained. So in this chapter, Krishna will explain further. He will take it to a very deeper depth that how the superiority of devotion is there as compared to all other paths of Bhakti Yoga. In order to encourage Arjuna to higher elevation in his potent devotional service, Krishna describes this 9th chapter, which has more confidential knowledge than he has already disclosed. Okay, I'll go forward. So this is the overview of this 9th chapter. This 9th chapter has 34 verses. The first 3 verses, Krishna glorifies this knowledge, the most confidential knowledge which Krishna is going to bestow in this chapter. And then in the next section from 4 to 10, Krishna explains this knowledge. What is this knowledge? Knowledge of Krishna's relationship with the material world, which is called as Aishwarya, Krishna's majestic opulence. Then Krishna speaks about 2 classes of worshippers. These are impersonalists, those who do not accept or realize Krishna's personal form. And then Krishna speaks about the pure devotee called Mahatma. And 3 other kind of worshippers. This is in the 4th section from verse 13 to 19. And then Krishna contrasts with those who are demigod worshippers in verses 20 to 25. And in the final section, 26 to 34, Krishna speaks about the superiority of the devotional principles, especially the yogis who are performing Bhakti Yoga, Ananya Bhakti Yoga. So this is the overview. So let us begin. I begin with the first verse. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshyami anusuyave Jnanam Vijnana Sahitam Yadgyatva Mokshase Ashubha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, so there are 4 aspects which Krishna is revealing in this chapter, which he is summarizing in this verse. The first item he says, the first aspect of what he is speaking in this chapter, he says, Idam tute guryatam. Krishna is going to reveal the knowledge which is most confidential. So far, he has not spoken such knowledge in Bhagavad Gita. He has spoken the knowledge which is confidential. That is the knowledge of difference between matter and spirit. That Krishna has spoken from chapter 2 till chapter 6. The difference between the body and soul. That the soul is eternal and the body is temporary. and how to come to the realization of soul by performing the actions which are pertaining to spiritual perfections. Karmanye vadhikarasya. And then in the 7th and 8th chapter, Krishna spoke about more confidential knowledge. What is more confidential knowledge? Is the practice of the Bhakti Yoga. But here in the 9th chapter, he is going to speak about the most confidential knowledge, the very finer and deeper aspects of performing devotional service, which he has not disclosed so far. So this is idam tu te guhyatamam. Krishna will speak the most confidential knowledge of Bhagavad Gita in this chapter. And then he says, Pravakshyami anusuyave. But who can receive this knowledge? Who can become the beneficiary of this knowledge? For that, there is a qualification. There is a standard. What is the standard? One has to be anusuyave. Anusuyave means non-enviousness. Very important aspect of receiving spiritual knowledge, that one must have this character and quality of being non-envious. Especially one has to be non-envious against Krishna and his devotees, from whom he is receiving knowledge. Dhritarashtra and his sons. Dhritarashtra also received this knowledge, one to one. From whom did he receive? As Krishna bestowed this knowledge to Arjuna, Vyasadev's disciple Sanjay also spoke the same knowledge to Dhritarashtra, but Dhritarashtra could not receive this knowledge. Why? Because he disqualified on the quality and character of being Anusuyave. He was envious. He was envious of both Krishna and the Pandavas. So to the extent we are non-envious, at least towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna and his devotees, to that extent we can receive and realize this knowledge. And third aspect, Krishna says, this is Jnana Vijnana Sahitam. Jnana means knowledge and Vijnana means realization. So Krishna will bestow both. Krishna will not only give the process, but he will also give the path of perfection, how to achieve perfection. And what is the result of one who has received this knowledge? Yad gyatva moksha se ashudha. One will be free. One will be freed from all the material miseries, even while he is in this material world. So the Lord said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. So this is this knowledge which relieves one from all kind of suffering and all kind of tribulations. Okay, the jnana which liberates is described in the 2nd, 3rd, and other chapter is guhya or secret, as I said. And the knowledge which I revealed in the 7th and 8th chapter is bhakti is guhyatara. But this chapter, Krishna will speak only in depth, in detail about the pure devotion or Shuddha Bhakti or Kevala Bhakti, which is most secretive. So once, Srila Prabhupada, I'll give you a story, a very real story. Once Prabhupada was preaching in Paris, and one French admiral, you know, there are 3 divisions of the army. One of the military, one is army, the other is navy, and the third is air force. So admiral is the highest position for navy. So one admiral, he met Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada told him that you are a warrior and Arjuna is also a warrior. So Bhagavad Gita is a book for becoming the perfect warrior. How to win the battle of life. So he said, fine, sir, Swamiji, I will try to read this Bhagavad Gita, but I don't have so much time. So you please, assign one chapter of Bhagavad Gita. I will not be able to read the entire chapter. So you please suggest which one chapter of Bhagavad Gita I should read. And Srila Prabhupada said the ninth chapter, the most confidential knowledge. And when Prabhupada was speaking to him, there was one Prabhupada's disciple at that time who was also preaching in France. His name was Indradum Swami Maharaj. And that admiral accepted the French version of Bhagavad Gita, and he promised Prabhupada that every day I will read at least one verse of Bhagavad Gita from the ninth chapter. After 10 years, that same admiral met Indradum Swami Maharaj in some other city. And that admiral immediately recognized that you are with Swamiji. And he said, yes, I remember you. And he said, since the day I had met Swamiji, not even a day has passed in last 10 years when I did not study the verses of the ninth chapter. That is the importance of this ninth chapter, which is the most confidential knowledge. Okay, this we have covered. So if we contrast this to the other chapters, if we see this to the other chapters, that in the seventh chapter we see that Krishna is the source of everyone and everything. Vasudevam Sarvamiti. And four types of people surrender to Krishna and four types of people do not surrender. And then Krishna talk about the demigod worshippers and the impersonalists. In the eighth chapter, specifically Krishna spoke about how to remember him at the time of death. And in the ninth chapter, Krishna will speak about how to practice that pure devotional service, that Ananya Bhakti. So we go to the next verse. In the first three verses, as we said, that Krishna is glorifying this knowledge and he is giving the true value and essence of what he is revealing. The second verse is Rajavidya Rajiguhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyashavagamam Dharmyam Susukham Kartum Avyayam. Very, very important verse. And in this verse, Krishna is speaking about the eight glorious characteristics of the knowledge that Krishna is going to reveal in this chapter. What are these eight glorious characteristics of this most confidential knowledge? First is, this is Rajavidya. Rajavidya means this is the king of all knowledge. No knowledge in this human creation can be compared to the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, especially the chapter number 9, the most confidential knowledge. And not only it is Rajvidya, it is Rajguhyam. It is the king of all secrets. This is the king of all knowledge and this is the king of all secrets. That means it cannot be accessed by anyone and everyone. And also, being with the king of knowledge, the king of secret, it is Pavitram. It is the purest. And it is Uttamam. Uttamam means that it is the transcendental, it is the highest. It is not material knowledge, it is the transcendental knowledge. And how it can be realized? Pratyakshavagarmumam, by direct experience. It is not just theory. It can be applied and one can realize the principles of it in one's life. Pratyakshavagarmumam. And this is dharmyam. This is the highest religious principles of human life. And while performing this principles of Bhakti Yoga, one becomes Susukham. One experiences great happiness and satisfaction. And this is Avyayam. Avyayam means it is inexhaustible. It cannot be diminished or it cannot be finished. It will remain the same. So we see Bhagavad Gita, even after 5,000 years, This knowledge remains the same. Why? Because it is avyayam, it is everlasting. So in light of these 8 transcendental qualities of Bhagavad Gita, we see the Bhagavad Gita. So thus the process of devotional service of Krishna consciousness is the king of all education and the king of all confidential knowledge. It is the purest form of religion and it can be executed joyfully. This Bhakti Yoga is very, very simple and it is very, very satisfying. Why? Because one experiences great joy without difficulty. Therefore, we should all adopt it. We should apply it and see the result. And in the third verse, Krishna says that, so what are the qualities required for receiving this knowledge? That one must have faith. One must have faith. And the other quality is that one should not be envious. One should have faith and trust in Krishna and he should not be envious. Because one who does not have faith, he cannot receive this knowledge. See the third verse. Ashraddhana Purusha Purushasya Ashraddhana Purusha Dharmasasya Parantapa Aprapya Mam Nivartante Mrityu Sansar Vartamani. So Krishna says that those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me. They cannot receive this knowledge. Therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in this material world. So if one fails to receive this knowledge, that means he fails to attain Krishna. He does not elevate himself to the spiritual platform. He does not enter into the abode of the Supreme Lord. Then obviously where he remains in this material creation, in this material world. And he has to again and again repeatedly rot in the cycle of birth and death. So in these first 3 verses, Krishna is establishing the glory of the knowledge which he is revealing. This is the topmost knowledge, the most confident, the king of all knowledge, the king of all secrets. It is the purest, it is the transcendental. And what is this knowledge? Krishna speaks from the verse number 4. From 9.4, he gives this knowledge. First, he speaks about his relationship with this material. How he is the governing principle of this material world. We saw that in the previous chapter that Krishna says, Adi Devam, Adi Yagyam, and Adi Bhutan. He is the governing principle. How is the governing principle? He reveals here. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina matsthani sarva bhutani nachaham teshu avasthita. So he says, by me, that is the potency of Krishna, by Krishna's energy, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. So what it means that all beings are in me, that means all beings are dependent on Krishna. But Krishna is not dependent on anyone. He is Charteshu Abhigna Swarat. That is what Srimad Bhagavatam says. He is fully independent. But the dependence of all other living entities is purely on the mercy of the Supreme Lord Krishna, because Krishna is the creator, Krishna is the maintainer, and Krishna Shakti or his energy also do the destruction. So everyone, for all his needs, are dependent on the Supreme Lord, but they cannot see him. Why? Because he is pervading this entire universe in his unmanifest form. He is not manifest. And then he says in the 5th verse, and yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not part of this cosmic manifestation, for myself is the very source of creation. I'll explain this with a very simple example. We see a prison house that we call as jail. All the criminals who are inside the prison house, they are completely dependent on the superintendent of the jail. The superintendent is responsible for maintaining them, for providing them food, for providing them, certain medical facilities and whatever is required, shelter for their living, uh, for the time of their imprisonment. But is the superintendent of the prison house, is he a part of the prisoners? No, he is not. He is not a prisoner. He is the superintendent of the prison house. And the principles or the rules and regulations which are working on the prisoners is not applicable to the superintendent. Why? Because he is a bona fide government officer. And who are inside? Those who are criminals. So similarly, the material world's rules and regulations of birth, death, old age, and disease, which applies to everyone in this material world, he says, is not applicable to the Supreme Lord. He says, I am not part of this cosmic manifestation. Because this cosmic manifestation, what happens? It manifests and it unmanifests. It comes into being and it dissolves. But the Supreme Lord is always eternal. There is no change in him. And then he gives an example. In the next verse, he gives an example. Yata akasho sthito nityam vayu sarvatra gomaha tatha sarvani bhutani matstani iti upadharya. Understand that the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky. All created being rest in me. So Krishna is giving this example that the movement of the air influences the movement of everyone and everything, isn't it? When there is the movement of the air. But although the wind is great, it is still situated in the sky. But does it have an impact on the sky? Within the sky, the wind is blowing, is moving. And with the movement of the wind, it is influencing everyone. No one is spared. But does it influence the sky? No, it does not influence the sky. There's a Supreme Lord who is the creator of this world. The creator is not affected by its own creation. What are the principles of this material world is not applicable to him. Why? Because he is on the spiritual abode, in the spiritual platform. Similarly, all the wonderful cosmic manifestation existing by the supreme will of God, and all of them are subordinate to the supreme will. So nothing can influence him or impact him. And then he says that at the end of the millennium, 7th verse, that all material manifestation enters into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. So this material creation, it has a cyclical phenomena or feature that it is created and it is annihilated. How it is created? It is created through the potency of Mahavishnu. And when it is annihilated, it is remaining compact again in Mahavishnu. So he says the whole cosmic order is under me, and by my will it is automatically manifested again and again, and under my will it is annihilated at the end. So here in this section of Bhagavad Gita, we get this very, very important knowledge. The knowledge which has bewildered everyone, especially the scientists. They are thinking that this world is moving without a creator or without a controller. It is completely farce. This world is completely under the control of the Supreme Lord. And it is moving only by the direction of the Supreme Lord. It will become more clearer. So there is no automatic. It is nothing is auto. Many years back, one very great scientist, Sir Isaac Newton, he created a model and he called some of his scientist friends and they very much admired the model. And they said, who created the model? He said, no one created. It has come of its own. So they did not believe it. He said, how is it possible? How can it come of its own? Unless somebody would have created it, how can this model come out of its own? They say, if the model cannot come out of its own, how the material world can come out of its own? How there is perfect order in this material world? So Krishna speaks in the 9th verse. He says that, oh Dhananjay, all this work cannot bind me. What work? Of again and again creation and destruction. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral. And then finally in the 10th verse he says that this material nature, which is one of my energy, is working under my direction. O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings, under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So the Supreme Lord is the controller of this material nature. This material nature is working very clearly under the directions of the Supreme Lord. So it is not automatic. Sometimes we go to some mall. You go to some mall, and what happens in the mall? As soon as you come close to the gate, there is a glass gate. It opens automatically, isn't it? And you step in. And as soon as you step in, it closes. So the child who is there, he may be shocked. He said, oh, it is automatic. But that automatic is working because there is a full system behind it. There is a full system behind it. And that system is being controlled by some technician. It is not on its own. So similarly, this entire material world is under the jurisdiction and control and under the direction of the Supreme Lord. So here in this section, Krishna establishes how is the governing principle, how is the governing and the guiding principle of this entire material creation. And in the next two verses, Krishna talks about those who are impersonalists. But the mass of men cannot understand this. In the 11th verse, he says that Avajananti ma mudha manushim tanum ashrita param bhavam majananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. That fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature. What is the transcendental nature? Krishna has just explained. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyakt bhutina. From the 4th verse till the 10th verse, Krishna has explained. Transcendental means, although he is the governing principle of this material world, he is not governed by the material world's principle. So that is his transcendental nature. So who can only know? Those who are devotees. All those who are non-devotees, for them to know this knowledge is not possible. Why? Because they are always bewildered. The 12th verse he says, those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demoniac and atheistic views. Moga asha, moga karmana, moga jnana vichesa. Rakshasi mashwarim cheva, prakriti mohini mashrita. So these so-called scholars and scientists, whatever they are aspiring, moga asha, it will be frustrated. They will be frustrated. They will never be able to reach the right conclusion. Their aspiration, their attempts, their endeavors are all baffled. Moga karmano, all their actions will not result in any conclusion. And moga jnana, all their knowledge is also going to be the source of further complication. So for them, there is no hope of liberation or success. Why? Because they are guided by the culture of knowledge of nations. They are guided by the illusionary energy of the Lord. And then Krishna speaks about his pure devotees. But there are, in contrast, those who are the great souls. These are the deluded souls who are governed by the illusionary energy. So all kind of education that we are having, all of it comes under this category, this so-called academic knowledge or knowledge pertaining to matter. In this academic circle, we have only one-dimensional knowledge, the knowledge which pertains to matter. Do you find any university which speaks about the knowledge of the spirit soul? Srila Prabhupada, when he was preaching in US, he went to MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Like we have IIT, in America there is MIT. That is the highest institute of reputation and knowledge. So Prabhupada asked, where is the Department of Soul? Show me the Department of Soul. They were boasting that we have so many branches, like in IARI, we have so many branches, 25 or 26 branches. But where is the branch of soul? They have no knowledge. So, but who can receive the knowledge, this confidential knowledge? Those who are great souls. Krishna calls the great souls as Mahatma. Mahatmanastu mam partha devim prakritim ashrita bhajanti ananya manaso yatva bhutadim avyaya. So these Mahatmas are the great soul. Why? Because they are under the protection of my divine nature. So Krishna is partial. He says that most of the men, they are under the illusionary nature. Why? Because they do not accept Krishna principle. So those who are criminal, for them, the government has the crime department or the police department. But those who are law abiding, for them, the government also has the universities and center of excellence. So is the government partial? No. Why? Because who are these Mahatmas? Bhajanti ananya manaso. That they are fully engaged in my devotional service because they know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and irresistible. Why Krishna is giving this knowledge in this Bhagavad Gita? So that we can also come to the state of becoming a Mahatma. Why to remain a Duratma? From Duratma, we should come to the state of becoming a Mahatma. And what the Mahatma done in the 14th verse? What are the action and activities of a Mahatma? Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhabrata namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Satatam kirtayanto mam. Always chanting my glories and endeavoring with great determination. What is the determination? To follow the principles that Krishna gives. Bowing down before me. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So Krishna is contrasting those who are under the illusionary energy. And then he says that not everyone can become a Mahatma. There are others who do not know me as I am. So what they do? They engage in other activities. In the 15th verse, he says, Jnana yagyena chapi anne yajanto mamupasate ekatvena prathatvena bahuda vishuto mukham. He talks about anne. Anne means others, those who are not Mahatma. So what they think that ekatvena, they think that the entire creation and the creator is the same. And they worship the creation and the creator as one. Second, prathatvena. And third is bahuda vishuto mukham. So the first is what? It is called the impersonalist. They say everything is one. That is the impersonalist. Second, who says that there is a prathatvena, in duality. And the third, who says that there are bahuda vishuto, that there are many. But none of them have the proper understanding and the realization. Why? In the next verse, he says that I am the ritual, I am the sacrifice, the offering, the ancestor, the healing herb, and the transcendental child. I am the butter and the fire of the offering. And in the next verse, he says that Pitahamasta Jagato Mata Dhata Pitamaha Vedyam Pavitram Omkaram Riksham Yajurevacha. Krishna reveals in this section that how he is the father of everyone. He says, I am the father of this universe. Pitahamasta Jagato. Then one must say, okay, you are the father. You can only give existence. But Krishna is also the maintainer. Who maintains? Mother. Then he says, Pitahamasa Jagato Mata. And Mata and also Dhata. Dhata means the supporter and Pitamaha, the grandfather. So I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. And I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. And also I am Rik, Sam, and Yajurved. And further he says that I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, and the most dear friend. This is very important. Although Krishna is the creator, he is the maintainer, and he is also his agencies are the destroyer. But in any case, he is also taking the role of mother, father, and grandfather. But he is always the well-wishing friend. He is Sharanam Shuhat. Whoever takes shelter of him, Krishna becomes his best well-wishing friend. And further he says that those who are aspiring, these are different types of worshippers of Lord Krishna, but they are not directly approaching Krishna. These are all indirect, whose conception is not that Krishna is the supreme. They have some other conceptions. They think that others are equal to Krishna. So what they do? Some of them, they study the Vedas. See the 20th verse? Those who study the Vedas and they drink the som juice seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful actions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planets of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. Good. One may say this is very good. One can elevate himself to the heavenly planets and enjoy. But no, my dear. It is temporary. It is not a permanent position. It's a false position. How? 21st verse, he says, when they have enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure and the result of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to the mortal planet again. Thus, who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principle of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. So they are not out of the cycle of misery. They remain within the cycle of misery. They are sometimes elevated to the heavenly planet, and sometimes they are dragged back to the earthly planet, and sometimes they are pushed even to the hellish planets. And in each planet and in each species of life, what they receive is birth and death. But those who are my devotees, they are beyond this cycle of birth and death. What they perform? They perform pure devotion. And I take their charge. Very beautiful verse. Ananyas chintayanto mam. 22nd verse. Ye jana paryupasate tesham nitya bhiyuktana yogashemam vahamiham. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion. Ananyas. Who are the Anyas? We saw so many Anyas. Ekatvena, Prithaktvena, Bahuda, Vishuto Mukha. But one who has single point focus in worshipping the Supreme Lord with devotion. Krishna says, to them I carry what they lack. Krishna says, Yoga Shemam. Shema means protection. Krishna protects what they have. And Vahami Aham means I provide or I carry what they lack. So a devotee in his life, in his living, he is never ever in any anxiety. Because whatever he has, what is the most precious thing that the devotee has? Rayanshi, what is the most precious thing that a devotee has?
Prabhuji, faith.
Okay, very good. Devotion. Good.
Yes.
Devotion. So Krishna protects his devotion. And Krishna provides what he lacks. That is faith. So there is nothing to fear. But those who are not the worshippers of Krishna, they are the worshippers of others or the demigods. This is 23rd verse. That those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship me only, O son of Kunti, but they do it in a wrong way. Yajanti avidhipurvakam. Like if you want to get the best yield from the plant, where you have to water? Not on the leaves, not on the flowers, not on the fruits, but on the roots. But if we do not water the plant in the roots, and as much as we may water on the flower and the fruits which are attached, it will not do any good to the plant. And then he discloses, Aham sarva yagyana bhokta cha prabhurev cha natu mam abhijanati tatvena stavanti te. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices, not the demigods. Therefore, those who do not recognize me, my transcendental nature, they fall down. So this is the position of all the demigod worshippers. What will be the result? That they will fall down. And those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. And those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me. So if you take a ticket to Mumbai, you can only reach Mumbai. You cannot reach Montreal. So those who worship, by the process of worship, one decides one's destinations. And Krishna, he can be pleased very simply. How? Not by very elaborate arrangements. Very beautiful verse. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti upritam ashnami priyatatmana. So Krishna can be very much satisfied if one offers with love a leaf, one leaf, especially the tulsi leaf. Pushpam, you can offer Krishna. There is no resource required. There is no need of any elaborate arrangement. You can just please and satisfy Krishna by offering a leaf, a flower, phalam, one phal, one fruit. And if you don't have, even if you don't have the fruit, and if you don't have the flower, you just offer him water. Is it not available everywhere? Water, or a leaf, or a fruit, or a flower. But what Krishna accepts is the devotion, the offering of love. Tadaham bhakti upritam ashnami priyatatman. So Krishna can be very much satisfied. So whenever we are approaching Krishna, we should give these offerings. Some offering should be given to Krishna. Like if you have to go and meet your best friend, will you go empty-handed? You go empty-handed? But we are coming to Krishna, who is our ever well-wishing best friend. And most of the time, so how we can be his best friend? We are expecting Krishna to always remain loyal to us to be best friend. And what about our duty, our responsibility? that we are always neglectful, that we never accept. So Krishna says, so Krishna is giving this command, Yat karoshi yad ashnashi, yad juhushi dadasi yat tapasya sikonteya kurusva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. Very, very important verse. So those who are actually devotees of Krishna, we should accept these principles. That whatever we do, at least whatever we eat, first we should offer to Krishna. And then accept. Whatever austerity we perform, whatever action also we perform, Krishna says, make it as an offering to me. The Prabhupada says that this is the duty of everyone to mold his life in such a way that he will not forget Krishna in any circumstance. Everyone has to work for maintenance of his body and soul together, and Krishna recommends herein that one should work for him. One should offer the result of his work to Krishna. And in this way, you will be freed from bondage. See the next verse. And its auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed in me, in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. Very important principle. Once one devotee was explaining about Vrindavan Dham. He was explaining, if you go to a tirtha, like you go to Kashi, you go to Prayag, you go to Haridwar, you go to Badrinath. What is the result? That what is impious in your life will be eliminated. Papa will be eliminated from your life. That is why people go to these holy places, so that they can get rid of the pap, and when they come back, they can again perform pap. The same thing what the Christians do every Sunday. But if you come to Vrindavan, you will not only be rid of pap, you will also get rid of punya. When the assembly heard this, they became very sad. अरे पाप तो छूट जाए ठीक है, पुण्य क्यों छुड़ा रहे हैं? Because unless and until you exit both, you have to take birth. Because to get the benefit of the punya, again you have to come into this material body. And as you come to the material body, you have to go through the suffering of birth, death, old age, and disease. So here Krishna is saying, very beautifully Krishna is saying in this verse, in the 28th verse, that you will be freed from bondage of birth and its auspicious and inauspicious results, both. With your mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and you will come to me. And then comes the, here from this 26th verse till 34th verse, Krishna is talking about the superiority of me. And here comes the most confidential knowledge. Krishna says that I envy no one, and I am partial to anyone. I am equal to all. Whoever renders service to me in devotion is a friend in me, and I am also a friend in him. Like the teacher who is giving knowledge to all the students. Is he partial? No. But some of the students will receive the knowledge. They will take more benefit. And there will be some who will not be able to take any benefit. So whose fault is this? Is it the teacher's fault? It depends on the receiver's attitude. So Krishna says that ye bhajanti to mam bhaktya. So those who are always rendering service to me in devotion is a friend in me, and I am also a friend in him. And for such a person who is always rendering devotion to me, if by accident or by a chance he commits some abominable action, or he commits a blunder or a mistake, api chetsu duracharo bhajante maam ananyabha sadhureva samattabhya samyak vyavastito hisa even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, how? Like he explained before. Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mai che teshu chapyo yad karoshi yad ashnashi yad juhushi dadashi yad patram pushpam phalam toim. Who is following all this principle which Krishna is giving? So he says, even if he commits some abominable action due to his past conditioning or by some act of accident, Krishna does not abandon him. This is the most confidential aspect of devotional practice. That Krishna never ever abandons his devotee, even if he commits some abominable mistake. Krishna says he is to be considered saintly. Sadhu reva samantavya. Why? Because he is properly situated in his determination. What is his determination? To always practice the process of devotional service. So he will not be affected. Why? Shipram bhavati dharmatma shashvatam shantim nigachati Panteya pratijanahi name bhaktya pranashati. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. This is very, very emphatic declaration in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is very clearly and very boldly declaring that my devotee will never perish. Why? Because Krishna first personally protects. What is the protection? Yoga Shemam Vahami. I protect what he has and I provide what he lacks. Whatever may be the deficiency in a devotee, but he has to be Bhajanti Ananya Vatso. He has to practice the process without deviation. And then in the 32nd verse, Krishna says that anyone can come to this position. Krishna is giving the offer to everyone. There is no one who has been excluded. He says, Mami Partha Vyapashritya Yesyo Papayoneya Striyo Vaishyo Tata Shudra Depi Yanti Paramgati. So, whether he is Vaishya, this is not the prerogative of only the Brahmanas, the highest class of Brahmanas or Kshatriya. One may be in the category of Shudra, the lowest category. Or one may not be a Brahmana Pandit scholar. He may be a Striya. He may be a household lady. It is open for everyone. O son of Partha, those who take shelter of me, though they may be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, Shudras can attain the supreme darshana. Te bhi yanti parapra. So, bhakti is very, very simple and it is accessible for everyone. There is no bar. Then he says, what to speak of those who are advanced in devotion? Kim punar brahmana punya bhaktya rajarishiyastata anityam sukham lokam imam prapyasya bhajasvama. So what to speak of those who are righteous, who are knowledgeable, who are the devotees and who are the saintly kings. Therefore, and then Krishna speaks about this material creation or this material world. He is the creator and how he controls we have seen in this section from verses 4 to 10. He says he gives the character of this material world. What is the character of this material world? Anityam. Anityam is, it is temporary. Everything here, it comes into being and it will diminish or die. There is date of manufacturing, and with the date of manufacturing, there is date of expiry. So everything is anitya. And this world, it is a place of suffering, asukha. And people are so foolish that they are thinking that with a little bit of more luck, with a little bit of more manipulation, or with a little bit of more of their intelligence, they can reverse the situation. It will never reverse. This place will always remain anityam and asukham lokam imam. Very clearly, Krishna is saying, anityam asukham lokam imam, O Arjuna. Then, if you are pushed in this situation, imam prapasya bhajasvama. If you have fallen in the well, what you have to do? You don't have to do the analysis that how did I fall? When did I fall? Or who pushed me? That will not help you. What you have to do, you have to find someone or a rope so that you can get out of the well. Imam prapasya bhajasvama. You must perform devotional service to. And how that devotional service is to be performed? That is the final verse of this verse. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vashyati yukteva atmana mat parayana. So how to perform this pure devotional service? Krishna recommends these four aspects. First thing is manmana, that you try to think of me. How? How do we do thinking? Thinking is the characteristic of our mind. The mind is always active. It is always thinking. Sankalpaha and vikalpaha. Anything which is favorable to the mind, it is accepting. And anything which is unfavorable, it is rejecting. So Krishna says, engage the mind in thinking about me. This is bhakti. Then he says, Bhava mad bhakto, become my devotee. How to become Krishna's devotee? Madhyaji, by worshipping me, by making me an offering, like Krishna has recommended here. Patram pushpam phalam thoyam. Yat karoshi, yat ashnashi, yat juhushi dadasi yat. Shubha shubh phale reva. So in this way, what Krishna has recommended, and mam namasko. Just offer your pranams, your obeisances. Always think of me, engage your mind in me, become my devotee. How? By worshipping me. How we are worshipping Krishna? By offering him what we have and offering him obeisances. These four things. If we are doing these four things, then he said, you will become completely absorbed in me. Ma me vashyasi yukteva. Yukteva means that you are always in connection with Krishna. And Atmani mat parayana. Then you have taken shelter of me and surely you will come. So this is the most confidential knowledge. That the devotee of Krishna, Krishna personally protects. And he provides whatever he lacks, and Krishna protects whatever he has. And Krishna never abandons his devotee. Never ever. Once a devotee is always a devotee. So this is the most confidential knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna. So I'll stop here. So although it is, we covered to some extent this most confident, very, very assuring. One becomes a devotee of Krishna, then Krishna takes charge of. But what one has to do? One has to associate with a Mahatma to become a Mahatma. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavata. What is Satatam kirtayanto? Is always chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Then Krishna takes charge. He takes the responsibility of his devotees. Hare Krishna. I'll stop here. If you have any questions, please ask. In this chapter, Arjuna is just hearing. Arjuna is not asking for, having any doubt. He is receiving this nectar directly in his heart. So there should be some king of question. Raj Vidya, Raj Guhyam we discussed. Pavitramidam Uttamam. So if there is any question, please ask. If there is any doubt. Everything is clear? Okay. Yes, Ravindra Prabhu and your team of devotees. Boliye.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Riyanshi. Boliye. Hare Krishna.
What is Ekatvena and Prithatvena?
Very good. Ekatvena means that they consider this material creation to be one with God. Or they consider the material nature to be the supreme. It is oneness, impersonalist. They cannot see the difference between the creator and the creation. There everything is one. Prithakttvena is another little more advanced. They can see the difference between matter and spirit. But still they don't see the controller of both. And Bahuda Vishato Mukham is those who are seeing that the supreme is many branched. What? In the form of so many demigods. That all the demigods are supreme. So all of them, they are what? In a incomplete knowledge. None of them have the complete knowledge of the Supreme One. Krishna has already explained from verses 4 to 10 that how is the governing principle of this entire creation. This knowledge or realization they don't have. So they are anne. You see the verse? It is said that anne, others. 15th verse. Jnana yajnena chapi anne. By their cultivation of knowledge, this is where they have reached. What? That ekatvena, prithaktvena, bahuda vishta. So the Mahatmas, they know that Krishna is the supreme. But those who are not Mahatmas, they consider others to be the supreme. So he worships himself. You see the purport? Prabhupada is explaining. Prabhupada says, the Lord tells Arjuna that those who are purely in Krishna consciousness and do not know anything other than Krishna are called Mahatmas. Yet there are other persons who are not exactly in the position of Mahatma, but who worship Krishna in different ways. Some of them have already been described as the distressed, financially destitute, the inquisitive, and those who are engaged in cultivation of knowledge. That was in the 7th chapter. But there are others who are still lower. Who are these? And they are divided into 3. One who worships himself one with the Supreme Lord. Just imagine. They are saying, so I am also God, you are also God. They are very low. The knowledge is so low. And those who concoct the form of Supreme Lord and worship that. And third, who accept the universal form, the Vishwaroop of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and worships that. Okay. So these are these 3 categories. But none of them know the source. That is Supreme Personality is the source. And he is in control of everyone and everything. Okay. Very good. Good question.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we'll continue with your interest. I am also determined. So I also get a chance again to review and revise and reconfirm my commitment to Bhagavad Gita. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the assembled devotees. Nitai God Premanande. Hari Hari Hare Krishna.